not been a tournament for the faint of heart. Dramatic finishes, brutal suckouts, and red-hot aggression is the name of the game. Let's see how the rest of our quarterfinal matches play out. First up, 2007 World Series of Poker champion Jerry Yang takes on poker and TV celebrity Annie Duke. Annie, in that last match, you really put the sick in Wasaka. How are you going to top that?
I honestly, first of all, I hope I don't get into the situation where I have to top it. Let's just start there.
Right.
And I hope I never have to be under that much stress again in my life. That was something.
All right, Jerry, you're always known as being quiet and classy at the table. Something tells me you're not going to be so nice to Annie's chips, huh?
At a poker table, you can't be nice to your opponent, so don't take that personally.
Okay. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
And at our feature table, it's the old-time amateur against the old-time pro. 2008 November 9er, Dennis Phillips meets the legend himself, 1976 and 77 World Series champ, Doyle Brunson. Doyle, you know all those young cats were saying, oh, I don't think Doyle and the old school guys are going to be in the finals. Well, you've made it this far. They're not around anymore. What does that say for the old school?
Well, it tickles me because I've been listening to that stuff, you know, and I never did agree with it. And, you know, I feel like hadn't played in 3 months. I feel like I just broke out of jail and I'm enjoying myself.
You're a free bird, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, good luck. Dennis, go back in time 2 years ago. Who would have thought you would have made so many TV poker tables and sitting across from Doyle Brunson?
Like I've said before, I haven't stopped smiling in 2 years. This is pretty awesome.
It's a pretty good ride, huh?
It is.
All right, well, let's get the cards in the air. Good luck, gentlemen.
Greg Hummer alongside Ali Najad's second half of the quarterfinal round of the 2010 National Heads Up Poker Championship.
Oh, by the way, Doyle, this is my brother.
Yeah. The fix is in.
Been there before.
Sounds like something Slim would pull.
Yeah.
Each player with 160,000 in chips, blinds at 1 in 2,000.
Where is home, Dennis?
St. Louis, it is. I'm out here a lot now, but it's still St. Louis.
Could have guessed that one.
Nice hat. Dennis takes a look at Queen Deuce, limps in.
The hat a little nicer than the hand.
Doyle checks with 8-4. Brunson pairs his 4. Phillips flops a wheel draw. Check, check. Phillips pairs his queen.
He's got the lead in the hand now. Doyle checking a second time.
That's 2,000.
Dennis bets 2,000. Quick call from Doyle.
Can't just give Dennis automatic credit for having an ace or a queen or even a 5.
Phillips queen's best. Doyle bets 6,000.
That's 6,000.
He's trying to represent a flush here, or possibly having hit a king, maybe even a straight on the end. This is going to look really strong to Dennis, and he mucks the best hand. That's an excellent example of not being passive. Doyle seizing the opportunity there. That's why they call him the master.
As Doyle steals that pot, we'll steal a look at our tournament bracket. Eric Seidel and Scotty Wynn already through to the semis. Now these 4 attempt to join them. Dennis Phillips and Doyle Brunson in the hearts bracket, and Jerry Yang and Annie Duke underway at table 4. Blinds 1 in 2,000 here as well. Annie Duke with that incredible match previously against Paul Wasaka. She looks at ace-6 suited.
What a treat that match was. Meant so much to Annie as well.
Raises to 4,500.
She's had such a tough go of it in this event prior to this year. Things looking up so far, though.
10-9 for Jerry.
Hi, call.
He calls. Always so studious, isn't he, Ali, at the table?
Yeah, he looks like he's ready for a wedding. like a regatta. His yacht's out in valet.
He's wearing his Wimbledon whites. Yang flops an open-ended straight draw.
Check.
He checks.
And he's sizing up the continuation bet, settling on 2/3 of the pot.
Jerry meticulously raises to 18,000, and Annie folds.
Pro-type move there from Jerry Yang, check raising with the draw instead of playing passively. I gotta say, he's a better player now than when he won the main event.
Jerry Yang focused on stacking his chips right now, but the bigger picture shows Erik Seidel already on to the semis. His opponent there, Scotty Wynn, who knocked out Jason Mercier. Across the draw, 4 players remain, carrying a varying degree of credentials, but all honing in on the same goal, a spot in the semifinals here of the 6th Annual National Heads Up Poker Championship. Back inside the Caesars Palace Tournament Poker Room at our feature table, blinds now 1,500 and 3,000.
Let's make it 8,000.
He raises to 8,000.
5 more, right?
Ace-7 for Doyle. He'll call.
Dominated heading to the flop. Don't want to hit an ace if you're Doyle.
Both players catch a piece of the flop. Dennis with the best of it. Doyle checks.
Great flop for Dennis. Top pair, top kicker, and he's got Doyle in terrible shape. Doyle's got middle pair, and his ace is no help to him here, unless, of course, he hits running spades.
Dennis bet 11,000. Doyle calls. 9 of hearts, no help to Brunson.
A second overcard to his hand. He checks over to Dennis.
Phillips bets 17,000.
Into a pot of 38,000.
Check it in St. Louis against Texas over here.
Texas in rough shape in this showdown.
Doyle calls.
Calls a 17.
Queen of diamonds, Phillips 10's best.
Just getting uglier and uglier for Doyle, who checks the river. That card hits a lot of straight draws, a third overcard to the 7. Dennis shuts down behind him and shows the winner. As it turns out, the queen earned Doyle a free look. Wouldn't have liked seeing a third bet there.
So Erik Seidel and Scotty Wynn have already advanced to the semifinals. Now 2 matches left to determine who's going to join them. First, 2-time main event champ Doyle Brunson, and the 3rd place finisher in the 2008 main event, Dennis Phillips.
Doyle Brunson is a guy who some people have said is past his prime, but he steamrolled everybody so far in this event and proved them wrong. Dennis Phillips, meanwhile, is a guy who tends to overvalue marginal hands. I think Doyle's going to value bet him as such and steamroll one more round into the semis. I like the cowboy hat over the baseball cap.
Okay, so you've got Doyle advancing. What about 2007 main event champ Jerry Yang? Does he have what it takes to beat Annie Duke?
No disrespect to Jerry, but I really don't think so. That said, if Jerry is going to get by Annie, he needs to gamble before the flop. Don't let Annie outplay him after the flop. Annie is coming off one of the most exciting matches in the history of this event, and you might be tempted to think that that's got her winded. I think it's got her energized, and I like Duke all the way through this year.
I call.
Jerry's called Annie's raised to 7,500. By the way, partner, I was only asking you to give me a quarterfinal prediction, not that Annie was going to take the whole thing. That's very bold of you.
Yeah, I'm chasing. I'm stuck. My picks haven't been going so well, so I figure a parlay's the only way to get even at this point.
Yang pairs his 6, Annie with the flush draw.
15,000.
Jerry with a pot-sized bet.
I like this. He's leading into Annie, taking control of the pot, not just letting her have position and control.
After her call, Yang adds an open-ended straight draw.
Now, Annie didn't press her flush draw on the flop here. It's a scary call for Jerry's 6s. The fact that he's got the open-ended straight draw is going to make it easier to fire a second barrel, but it's still definitely a gut check.
Yang bets 35,000.
Math time for Annie Duke. She doesn't know she's 32% to win the hand here, and she's getting away from it. That's a pretty conservative, tight fold early on. If she saw Jerry's hand, she would call, but she probably figures the flush is the only thing she can bank on being good, and as such, didn't get the right price.
I have a feeling it's going to be a long match,
Yeah.
Annie.
Hopefully not as long as my last one.
Meanwhile, Dennis Phillips playing like he's in a hurry. Big lead over Doyle Brunson. Close to 100,000 in chips. 8-6 suited for Doyle. He raises to 7,500.
Seemed like a bit of trepidation on Doyle's part there if I'm sitting in Dennis's seat.
Pocket fours for Phillips.
I'll call.
He calls.
I would have thought that delay by Doyle pre-flop might have tempted Dennis into a re-raise.
Phillips flops a set and checks.
That's 13,000.
Doyle bets 13,000.
Standard continuation bet, even though he has complete air here.
Raise.
Dennis raises to 33,000.
If anyone at home is wondering why Dennis wouldn't slow play a big hand like a set, pay attention to the flop texture. 2 hearts and a 10 and a jack. A lot of flush and straight draws out there. 8, 9, king, queen, hearts. You don't want to let a scary card hit the turn and not know where you're at.
Inside and outside, it's the same story. Temperatures and pressure on the rise in the quarterfinals.
What's harder, being a parent or a poker player? Like a parent, like by far.
Definitely being a father and being a parent.
With 4 kids, like you realize pretty quickly that you don't have a whole lot of control.
Being a father of 6, wow. That's really a tough responsibility.
You actually have control over quite a bit of the things that happen at a poker table.
Playing poker, you're just sitting there and just be patient and apply discipline.
Maybe when they were like toddlers, it was easier to parent, but as soon as you get into the teenage years.
6 kids for Jerry Yang. That's not a family, that's a hockey team.
He's got the lead in children, no question about that. And in chips at the moment, 38,000 over Annie.
All those kids just can't be good for the bankroll. Think about formula, diapers, those leashes you gotta buy to keep them close.
You're a leash sort of guy.
Oh,
Interesting
yeah.
to know.
Keep those rugrats close to the vest.
Blinds now at 2 and 4,000. Jerry with ace deuce. I definitely fall on the parenting side of that equation as well.
Yeah, you got 3 beautiful girls yourself, right?
Yang raises to 12,000. Quick call from Annie. Annie pairs her jack. Check, check.
I wonder if Jerry hit the 4 or 8 week session of Ferguson's summer camp.
Turn no help to Jerry. Annie's 2 pair still in front. Check, check again. He obviously went to the 8-week session.
Annie's check on the turn there was designed both to avoid the bluff raised by Jerry behind her if she bet and also allow Jerry to bluff.
12,000. A queen 10 over there, Annie.
Annie bet 12,000.
Jerry seems to think she's on a busted draw.
Jerry calls and sees he had a bad read.
The line that Annie took on that particular hand created the call on the end by Jerry Yang. She maximized her profit. Well done.
Meanwhile, Dennis Phillips sitting in a powerful chip position against the godfather himself, Doyle Brunson. Phillips up almost 3-1 in chips, now has pocket rockets.
Speaking of powerful, doesn't get better than that pre-flop.
He raises to 7,500. King 8 for Doyle.
Doyle's stack still has a reasonable amount of play in it with the blinds where they are. Got a little less than 30 big blinds.
Re-raised to 23,500.
I wouldn't call this frustration, but I would call it bad timing.
I'm all in.
Dennis puts Doyle all in.
Wow. You got it every time? Yes, you do.
16s are pulled in.
23, 46. I think I'm priced in there, but I'm going to go.
Doyle lays it down.
Doyle's right. More often than not, the cards have been in Phillips' favor. He's acting calm and collected right now, but don't be fooled. In many ways, Dennis Phillips can't believe he's actually here.
Okay, let's see. Me sitting down at a table playing heads up for 50,000 with Doyle. Yeah, this is pretty awesome. Who would have thunk it 2 years ago?
How about Dennis Phillips making it to the final 3?
The only amateur left, the only American left, the oldest man left.
I guarantee I play a whole lot better now than I did 2 years ago. And hopefully, I'll be able to say that next year, too.
Ali, you've been around poker a long time, but how great is this guy's story? Employed by a trucking company, qualified for the 08 main event through a satellite, finishing third. It's been a dream run, as he said.
And I gotta say, when we called him an amateur at the top of the show, you gotta give him a little more credit than that at this point. He's morphed it into a career, parlayed that third-place finish at the main event into a true poker resume.
And now he's got almost a 5-to-1 chip lead against the Godfather himself. Brunson, this hand with pocket jacks, raised to 11,000. Phillips with 10-8 calls.
If he can finish Doyle off here, that'd be another nice line item on that resume.
What a flop for Phillips. 2-pair now to move in front of Doyle.
This could be trouble.
I'm all in.
I call.
Don't have a king.
All in and a call.
I got lucky. I got 2-pair. Go ahead and turn them up.
This incredible run could continue for Phillips. 2 cards away from defeating the legendary Doyle Brunson.
All he's got to do is dodge a king or a jack for now.
It's a 6 of hearts.
6 of hearts. Doyle down to 1 card.
Pair's still good.
Add the 6 now to the list of cards that Dennis needs to dodge. Most of the deck in his favor,
Here's
though.
the river.
Brunson makes 2-pair on the river to steal the pot and stay alive.
Phillips is taking it better than I would, I'll tell you that.
Okay, this used to be my brother. Oh, man. It's a good hand.
Yes.
Dennis can only appreciate the drama.
Oh, man.
Doyle taking it all in stride, cool as a cucumber. Got to admire Dennis's attitude as well. Things look great for him on the flop. But the running 6s counterfeited his 2-pair, and just when Dennis Phillips thought he'd stuck a fork in Doyle Brunson, the old-timer proved his goose is far from cooked.
Quarterfinal action continuing at the National Heads Up Poker Championship. Dennis Phillips has the lead, but Doyle Brunson back from the brink of elimination. He limps in. 8 tray for Phillips, checks.
Obviously content to play for the minimum with that napkin.
Doyle flops 2-pair. Phillips with the wheel draw, he checks. Doyle bets 4,000.
Min bet there with the blinds at 2 and 4.
Dennis calls.
Call.
Liberal call there by Dennis. His hand is essentially face up if it hits.
And it does. Phillips with the wheel.
Checking it there, and Doyle checking behind, playing it safe.
Doyle makes aces full to move back into the lead.
Oh, boy.
Phillips bets 13,000.
Obviously, he's going to bet here. No reason to think he's up against a boat.
It's really now just a question of how much Doyle is going to raise to. He decides on 53,000.
I call.
Dennis calls.
Got it. I knew that boat.
Doyle rolls over the winning hand.
Barf bag to the main game.
Good hand.
Doyle just took the chip lead. He recently took some time off, raising some question as to whether he would play in this event, but he's here, and his determination is still very much intact.
Just the love of poker motivates me. I feel kind of dead when I don't play poker, but when I play poker, I feel like I'm 30 years old again. The way your opponent plays dictates the way that you play, and that's something that people don't seem to understand. These guys, they try to make out like they've got some kind of a special thing. I don't believe it. They seem to think that the aggression is pretty important, which, I mean, I wrote a book about that 40-something years ago. There's no magic formulas. You just try to win your opponent's chips, and you got to just figure out the best way to go about it.
If we're going to call poker a sport, it's got to be the only one that makes you feel young again, right? I hit a field or a court now. In any other sport, it reminds me I'm definitely getting old.
There's a reason that the phrase older and wiser came about.
Speaking of phrases, Doyle's got plenty of them. He once said that you don't stop playing poker because you get old. You get old because you stop playing poker.
His hand here is going to make him feel young. Ace king suited.
All in.
He puts Dennis all in.
Raises all in. All the 11,000 raised.
Huge re-raise. Doyle ready to gamble.
Looked like a good spot.
Dennis folds, and Doyle picks up 11,000. At table 4, Annie Duke now in front, a chip lead of 42,000 over Jerry Yang. She has 10-7. And raises to 9,000. Queen 8 for Jerry. You almost get the feeling Annie's thinking, come on, just do something. Re-raise to 19,000.
With 10-7, that isn't what she was hoping for. But the re-raise isn't big enough for her to fold. 10K to win 28.
Good thing she called. Duke flops 2 pair.
Jerry's got control of this pot out of position, going to be compelled to fire the continuation bet here. Let's see how much it's going to cost him.
That's 30,000.
30,000.
That smells like a go-away bet.
Come on.
Annie puts Jerry all in.
Not that it mattered that it smelled like a go-away bet, considering Duke has 2 pair.
Take it down.
That raised too rich for Jerry's blood.
30,000 on the flop. Annie Duke went all in.
I could see Annie floating or playing back at Jerry, even if she didn't have 2 pair there. Just really felt like Yang wanted her out, and why would a big hand want her out?
Back at the feature table, Brunson's lead now 36,000 over Phillips. Blinds at 3 and 6,000. Queen 5 for Dennis.
It went up, didn't it?
3 6.
Make it 16 then.
He raises to 16,000.
Phillips pulling the George Bush here, staying the course.
Suited connectors for Doyle. He calls.
Phillips probably relieved not to hear the words re-raise that time.
Dennis pairs his queen. Doyle pairs his 6 and checks. Phillips bets 24,000.
24,000.
All in.
Doyle puts Dennis all in.
Calls the 24,000, raises all in.
See, Dennis is going to make that bet with such a wide variety of hands that I understand what Doyle's doing.
I call.
He calls.
I got the queen.
You got it.
Brunson might have been a little impatient here, though.
Dennis at risk of being eliminated, but he does have the best hand.
Queen 6-3.
Familiar territory. Best hand up against Doyle. Doyle with very few outs. We know what happened that time, though.
And it's 3.
That was a bad one.
Yeah.
7 no longer good. Dennis, the man at risk this time around. Will he hold?
He will. He fades the 6 and takes a commanding chip lead.
That's got me.
You might have covered.
You got chips
20,
left.
40, 60, 80.
Just when it looked like everything was going Doyle Brunson's direction, a devastating turn of events has the fat lady warming up her pipes. Tough to question one of the all-time greatest, but I get the feeling that play isn't going up in Doyle's trophy case anytime soon. Phillips has a commanding chip lead and the semis in his sights.
High above the Las Vegas Strip, the National Heads Up Poker Championship. Welcome back to the Caesars Palace Tournament Poker Room. Quarterfinal round action, and Dennis Phillips with a nearly 7-1 lead over Doyle Brunson.
Who's got exactly 7 big blinds.
Ace 5 for Phillips. He raises to 16,000. What a great time for Doyle to have Ace King. He goes all in. Snap call from Dennis.
Just got a bare ace.
Huh?
I got a bare ace. Nothing else. Oh, I'm killed.
Ace King. Royal Brunson.
Custer making a stand here, but will it be his last? Ace King looks great right now, but we're a flop turn and river away from full focus.
King right, on the
Doyle pairs his king. Dennis pairs his 5.
My 5!
Facetiously excited about that is Dennis. He knows he's in real bad shape.
Deuce. Doyle has to fade the 2 remaining 5s to stay alive. We've seen that before.
Phillips looking for the landing pad. Lock made it work for Mercier.
Flush seals the deal. Doyle doubles up and stays in the match.
Got a little over 80,000 now.
Timing was bad. That's what I needed last hand. Hard heart.
Call it less than 15 big blinds. Not a ton of play.
At table 4, Annie Duke, who's attempting to master a complex juggling act of poker, celebrity, and parenthood.
I actually took a lot of time off from poker this year. The reason was that I just really wanted to spend time with my kids. By the time I came back around to playing, I really, 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 really wanted to play. This is what I'm supposed to be doing right now, and this is what's important to my life right now. I'm definitely very excited about poker. I think that I've got a way to mentally balance it better now, hopefully.
Annie's got her mental balance on full display right now, currently leading Jerry by 146,000 in chips.
Poker always a tough game, but Annie able to find that focus whenever she's at the table. She looks at ace-7.
Raise, make it 16,000.
She raises to 16,000. Jerry with jack-8.
And less than 90,000 in chips.
I call.
He'll call.
Call.
Jerry's defended almost 100% of his blinds in this match, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't think there's been a limp in this one.
The all paint on the flop connects with neither player.
And Jerry reaching for chips. Now, last time he let out, he fired 2 barrels, and on the turn, he got Annie off of a flush draw. This is a different board this time, however. Much more likely for him to be bluffing here.
He bets 25,000, and Annie calls. Duke with the flush draw. Jerry checks.
Flush draw is not the big part of this hand. It's the fact that Jerry has checked to her, and now she's got control and is going to bet. She's playing this exactly like she would a king or a queen.
She puts Jerry all in.
Set a bet.
Or even a flush, for that matter.
Jerry wants no part of it. He folds.
Really no other option for Jerry Yang at that point.
Across the way, Doyle Brunson's still outstacked almost 3-1 against Dennis Phillips.
And with the blinds at 3 and 6,000 and not heading the other direction, only going up from here, doesn't bode well for Doyle.
Dennis with ace-king.
16.
He raises to 16,000. Doyle with 9-7 suited.
No shortage of ace-kings in this deck.
He calls. Dennis pairs his king. Big flop for Doyle as well. Pair of 9s and a flush draw. He checks.
We're going to see action here, no doubt.
Dennis bets 27,000.
Top pair, top kicker against a pair and a flush draw. I got a feeling.
All in.
Doyle goes all in. Snap call from Phillips.
Yep.
Let's take a look at
We got a true coin flip on our hands, 50-50.
9-7 to diamonds, a pair and a flush draw. For Doyle Brunson. Top pair,
Doyle
top
in
kicker.
danger of going home.
Ace king.
I really don't want to see a diamond.
Well put by Phillips. Doyle doesn't improve. Dennis still has to fade 14 outs.
Brunson's playing a pick 1 lotto ticket.
Here's the river.
His number's at the top of the screen. Will he hit?
No, Dennis dodges the myriad of outs and he'll advance to the semifinals.
Sort of spot you don't mind sticking your neck out there if you're Doyle. 14 outs twice, and you're not always going to whiff.
Dennis's dream run continues. Meanwhile, at table 4, Jerry Yang desperately hoping to keep his run going against Annie Duke.
Can't even call what he's got left a stack. It's like a small mound.
King 9 suited for Annie. She puts Jerry all in. 6-3 suited for Yang.
All right, I got live cards, got to do it.
He calls.
And Jerry calls. King 9 of clubs for Annie Duke.
You're ahead.
3-6 of diamonds for Jerry Yang.
Some nervous pacing over in the Yang corner.
Can't blame him with 6 high. He knows he needs help. But you heard him say it, he's got 2 live cards.
Here's the flop.
Yang pairs his tray. Duke with the flush draw.
Pair for Jerry Yang. 2 clubs, though.
No king. Oh my God, what a monster flop for you, Annie. That's a monster flop.
Yeah, my favorite.
Give me a 3 at least. Give me a 3 and a pair.
If you thought Doyle's lotto ticket was impressive, take a look at Annie's.
Annie adds an open-ended straight draw. More than a third of the deck will win her this hand.
More outs. No, okay, no 6 now.
Grab your speed stick, Jerry. It's time to sweat this one out.
Show me an ace. Ace, queen, jack.
Jack's not gonna work.
Here's the river.
Ace, please.
For a heart, somehow Yang survives and doubles up.
Wow.
You think Jerry was holding his breath there? My goodness.
That was a monster flop for you. Wow.
Let's go down to Leanne.
Doyle, did Dennis throw you off your game at all?
Well, I don't know. I just, like I say, I don't ever know what I'm going to do till I do it. But he played well. He deserved to win.
What do you think of his call with the queen on that big hand?
Well, it was a tough call. I mean, he knew probably I wasn't bluffing, totally bluffing. But I guess I should have qualified that hand before the flop. That's what the youngsters say to do.
Right. All right, we always enjoy having you, Doyle. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dennis, have you been reading Super System?
It's one of the best books out there. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. Any lessons you ever want to give me, I will take. Period.
I don't think you need any.
Well, you are moving on, so congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Doyle's system didn't turn out so super this time. Just when it looked like Dennis Phillips was gonna jackknife, he safely pulls his trailer into the semis.
Welcome to the National Heads Up Poker Championship presented by Full Tilt Poker.
In a roller coaster match, Dennis Phillips was able to hold off a feisty Doyle Brunson, making tough calls and getting lucky when it mattered. Now let's take you to our remaining table, where Annie Duke has Jerry Yang in rough shape.
Rough shape, loosely translated, means an 11-1 chip lead, but Jerry Yang hanging around and just doubled up a couple hands ago. She raises to 16,000.
Pretty much pot committing Jerry if he chooses to play the hand, and you assume he will.
I'm all in.
All in bet.
He does indeed. He goes all in.
I call.
And he calls.
And he calls. Take a look. Jack 7 of hearts for Annie Duke. 2 threes this time for Jerry Yang.
Once again, Jerry's got to get up, unzip that jacket, blow off some nervous energy.
I have a bad feeling about this one.
Yang not so optimistic.
Annie with the flush draw. Both players pick up an open-ended straight draw.
Wow. I can't have a 3 now. Put 2 aces on the board. What a flop.
Last time it was 17 outs. This should be no problem. It's only 16.
Things are looking up, huh?
No, I don't need a 3. No 3.
He is facing elimination, though. Needs to fade a heart, jack, 8, or a 3. Can he do it?
Queen.
His pocket trays hold up, and he will double up again.
Wow.
Still a big uphill climb for Jerry, but he's just managed to dodge 4 bullets. Looking like Neo from the Matrix. First the turn in the river in the other pot, now the turn in the river here. And he had a huge portion of the deck to eliminate this guy.
I'd pay a lot more than a penny to know what Annie Duke is thinking right now. She's got to be frustrated, Ali, that she just can't finish this out.
If you've ever been in this spot in a match, you definitely know how antsy it can make you. But Annie's not a rookie. She's been here before, just got to hold it together. Don't steam.
Queen 10 for Jerry.
Jerry with 10 big blinds doesn't have a lot of play.
He raises to 18,000, 10-6 suited for Annie. She'll call.
Jerry makes it 18,000.
So with 36,000 in the pot and Jerry left with about 34,000, virtually any continuation bet is going to be an all-in bet.
All clubs, Jerry with the flush draw.
Check, check.
Check, check. Yang hits his flush.
Jerry's check on the flop appears to have tempted Annie into picking up what she thinks is a dead pot.
She bets 23,000. Jerry goes all in, and Annie quickly folds. Jerry Yang collecting chips right now, but this poker pro has a deeply rooted charitable instinct.
As a refugee boy from Thailand, I know what it's like to be hungry and to be hopeless and to be sick. I've been a big supporter of mainly the Make-A-Wish Foundation, also the Ronald McDonald House. This match alone, I will donate another 10% of my winning, whether it's the grand prize or big or small. It's a wonderful honor and a wonderful opportunity to be able to give back to the community.
Say what you will about Jerry Yang, the poker player, but there's no questioning his generosity. Both he and Annie, among the most charitable members of a poker community that, quite frankly, doesn't get enough credit for being as philanthropic as they are.
Jerry guaranteed at least 75,000 in this tournament, so someone will be the beneficiary of that 10%. Duke with 7-5 raises to 16,000. Jerry with Queen 5 suited. He'll call.
Jerry calls.
Got Annie's 5 covered with the Queen.
Gut shot straight draw for Jerry.
Oh, and he's reaching for chips. He's 1 for 2 taking this line on a hand where he bets out of position leading at the pot. Last time he did it, though, Annie took the pot away by calling on the flop and then betting on the turn when it was checked to her.
Looks like she's raising.
Clearly categorizing Jerry's out-of-position leads as weak at this point and exploiting them as a result. This is poker here. She's got naked 7 high.
Jerry folds.
Just so you know, I hadn't actually pushed my bet out yet. Can you wait until I push my bet out before you start cutting my chips? Because I wasn't sure that was how much I wanted to put in yet. No problem.
And I wasn't even sure if she was calling or.
Right, I totally
still
understand
deciding,
because I mean I was betting. I just wasn't sure whether that was the amount.
I appreciate that. That actually helps me.
No, I mean I was raising no matter what. I was just looking and trying to think, and I cut these chips off. So you have to let me take my time because unless I actually push it forward, just because I've cut it right here.
All works out in the end for Annie.
Blinds now at 5 and 10,000. Duke with a just under 10-1 chip lead.
And by appearances, a splitting headache, courtesy of Jerry Yang, who she just hasn't been able to put away.
Ace 4 for Yang, and he goes all in.
I call.
Ace King, snap call from Annie.
This should be the end of things here.
For Jerry Yang.
But if history is any indication, both in this event and in this match in particular, let's not count Annie's chickens before they hatch.
Just let me see 1-4.
There goes the zipper.
Couple of jacks on the flop. Jerry still needs a 4.
Okay, pair the 9 then. 9 or 4.
4 better than the 9. They'd split for the time being with a 9.
Another jack. Annie's king kicker still has her in front.
Even more chop options for Jerry now.
I'm in bad shape.
A jack, 9, or an ace.
Here's the river.
He's really praying for a 4, though.
It is the 4.
No! If anyone in the house needs to fry an egg, Annie's head is preheated.
Jerry Yang with 9 lives. Wow.
Give Annie some credit.
Sorry about that, Annie. I was
in terms of her composure.
She is seething.
Wow.
Whether it meant dodging cards to hold up or simply hitting the impossible ones, Jerry Yang is proving to be a rather resilient opponent for a rather unamused Annie Duke.
Well, sick can mean 2 things.
Sick can be good and it can be bad.
It's a pretty sick turn in river.
Sick is what you say when something happens that is just gross or amazing.
That's sick. That's sick.
Sick has so many meanings, but essentially, sick is not a good thing.
When something really bad has happened to them, they will proclaim that that is sick.
Sick is something really bad.
And that's sick that they do that often.
That's pretty sick.
Sick is an overused term in the world of poker.
Everything's sick nowadays.
The word sick, I don't know. I think the word is used way too often.
I use it all the time.
I think we need to work on to, like, nauseated or queasy.
Either a guy is a really sick player, that means he's awesome, or that was a really sick beat.
Someone puts a really bad beat on you, they say that's sick.
It's a situation where maybe somebody gets all their money in with queens versus 10s, and the last card is a 10.
It's just so sick.
We're worried about the ace hitting and they throw 2 diamonds out there. Losing heads up when you've got a huge chip lead and you have your opponent all in over and over and over again.
It's an expression to define abnormal statistical deviations from the norm. This is a sick truth. I would have made a sick fold.
It just means that something that was mathematically unexpected happened.
Oh, that's so sick.
Sick? Phil Hellmuth with his shirt off?
That's sick.
I got to agree with Huck Seed on this one. That had to be the best definition of them all.
A lot of different meanings. We know for certain Jerry Yang just caught a sick card, and Annie Duke took a sick beat with that 4 on the river. While we were away, Annie Duke has whittled down Jerry Yang's stack to just 30,000.
I'm all in.
He looks at Jack Trey and goes all in.
All in bet.
Snap call from Annie with ace-8.
Ace-8 for Annie Duke.
Will this finally be all she wrote for Jerry Yang?
Can't wait anymore.
This has been a familiar scene the past few hands.
But the zipper's still up. Here it goes. Yeah! Called it.
That was sick.
Here's the flop.
Jack on the thumb, but an ace right behind it. Yang still trails.
Teaser card in the window for Jerry.
Here's the turn.
Turn, no help to Yang. Once again, he's down to a final card.
He's hit one before, looking for a hook or a tray, or it's an exit for Jerry Yang.
It's an
9 of hearts. This time, Duke does it. Her aces are enough to send her to the semis.
She can finally exhale. What a whirlwind match that was. That's 2 straight for her.
Relief for Annie Duke as the semifinal matchups are set. Joining Eric Seidel and Scotty Wynn, it's Dennis Phillips who defeated Doyle Brunson in the hearts bracket, and Annie Duke on to the semis after taking out a very persistent Jerry Yang. There are your 4 semifinalists. Let's send it down to Leanne at table 4.
It seemed like you had 9 lives out there. I mean, she was tough, huh?
She was very tough, and she did a good job too. It's been a wonderful honor playing against Annie. Congratulations, Annie.
Thank you. Thank you for playing.
All right, thank you.
Annie, I mean, like 2 matches like that. I mean, it's been a marathon. Are you mentally tough or what?
I hope that I can keep it together for the rest of the day. I mean, Jerry's a great competitor. Obviously, he got this far for a reason, and he didn't make it easy for me, and hopefully the next match will be a little easier. I mean, obviously the competition is so tough from now. I just gotta, you know, keep my mental focus and hopefully stay as focused as I've been.
All right, you're re-energized and refocused. We love it. Congratulations, Annie.